Okay, someone contacted us about how do we determine how much to charge for a product. Well, what we did was that we figured out a formula that we can use, so in this way we're not just pulling a price out of the air. We know exactly what we put into it as far as material. We know exactly what we put into it as far as time. But then you can also add on the other factors are your skill level, and you don't have to add that on there. I mean, because if you do, for some people, they can start to devalue their work. They can start to say, well, I've only been doing this for 6 months, so I should only charge this amount. Well, that's not true. You charge what you think that you are worth, and I will get to that in a moment. But first, what I want to show you is that one of the things that I talked about in the tools video is purchasing getting a cutting board that have grids on it. And these are 1 by 1 inch grids. And the reason why this is important is because when you buy a leather hide or when you buy leather, and just to kind of give you an example, and this is a catalog from the Hide House. And if you contact them, well, then they will send you a catalog. And in the front of their catalog, they have a outline of a leather hide. And basically what this is like a cow. This is, the animal, and this is the head, this is the tail, these are the hind legs, these are the front legs, and this is the shoulder. So basically what they're doing is that they're showing you, if you're buying a hide and they say a single shoulder or a double shoulder or the back or a side or a double back or a single bend or belly, this will explain to you what all of that means. And also, it also have a chart here that give you an example of ounces, because leather is also sold by the ounce. So if you look at the video that we did on how to select leather, you would see what we're talking about. Ounces are by the thickness of the leather. It depends on how thick it is. It will determine if it's a 2 ounce up to a 5 ounce. I think they even have them up to like 8 ounce or 10 ounce. So it just depends on how that hide was processed. Now, if someone say that they're selling a side, basically what they're talking about half of a cowhide. That's a side. And a hide is the full hide. So when you buy a hide, you're buying it by the square foot. And just to kind of give you a visual of square footage, let's take for an example, this is a 12 by 12 towel that you would put on the floor. This is what we normally look at when we're looking at a square foot. So this 12 by 12 is a very important number than we realize, because almost everything that we purchase have a lot to do with that 12 by 12, which is the square footage. If you buy a house or you rent an apartment, you're not renting it or buying it by 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, or 2-car garage. You are buying it by the square footage. And if you actually start to look at it, you will see what you are paying per square foot. So when you buy a hide, you are buying it by the square footage. Now, what we do is that we have put together a formula that we break the square footage down. We will break the square footage down to square inches. So when we cut out a pattern, what we're doing is that we're looking to see how many square inches is that pattern. This one here is 19 inches by 13 inches. Well, it's a little more than 13. I mean, it's a little more than 12. So we're going to call it 19 by 13. Because it's a little more than 12, you're not going to call it 12. You're going to say it's 13 inches. Because if you have to understand that when you, let's say that you go and you have your car repaired and they're charging $30 an hour. Well, if the work is going to take them, if the work takes them 2.5 hours, they're not going to charge you 2.5 hours. They're going to charge you 3 hours because you have went into the third hour. Even though they didn't use up the complete third hour, they're going to charge you for that third hour because it went into the third hour. So it's the same thing with when you are doing your calculation on your patterns. If you go, if it's 12 and a half, you're going to write it up as 13. It's 13 inches, not 12 and a half inches. So this, what we would do is that you would take 19 square inches by 13 square inches and you will multiply those. And that will give you the number of square inches that this pattern is. And I'm going to get a, we're going to calculate that, and so you can understand exactly how that works. So I can help break this down so you can understand it. Okay, let's say that we purchase this hide, which is 24.75 square foot. Now, there's two ways that this hide can be sold to you. One is that it can be sold to you by the square footage, and the other one is that it can be sold to you as per hide. For example, that it costs you, they say that hide is going to cost you $250. Well, that doesn't tell you how much you paid a square foot, but I'm going to show you how to break it down to where you know what you paid per square foot, and then we're going to break the square footage down to square inches, and then from the square inches you would know how much it is costing you to cut out this pattern here per square inch from that hide. Now remember, all hides are not the same price. For example, this hide here did not cost the same as this hide here. Even though this is the same pattern, they're the same side, but they did not cost the same. I'm gonna put a third one out here. Now you have three different hides, and each one of them have the same pattern, same side, but each hide costs different, so you cannot charge the same price that you're going to charge for this one for the rest of them. Each one needs to be charged at a different price. Also, this one have an overlay of snake on it. This one have an overlay of alligator on it. This one have an embellishment of an overlay of leather and embellishment on it. So you cannot charge, if someone say how much are that your bags, you can't say, well, all of my bags are $300 or $400. I mean, you could, but if you do, you're going to end up shortchanging yourself, or you're going to end up shortchanging the customer. So, in order for you to know and be comfortable with and be confident in that what you're charging, you know you're not shortchanging yourself, and you're not shortchanging your customer. So, just to kind of give you an example, let's say that, let's take this hide here. Let's say this hide here was $10 a square foot. So we're gonna make this $10 a square foot. And let's say that the hide itself, we're going to use this one here for an example, which is a side. This one is 24 by 75.75, which is 24 3/4. So you have $10, and you paid $10 for, let me do it this way, because I'm confusing myself and I don't want to confuse you. We're going to take 24 square foot, 0.75, and then we are going to, it cost us at $10 a square foot. Now, so we know the square foot is 12 inches by 12 inches. If you take 12 by 12 and you multiply those, you come out to 144 inches. So now you have 144 square inches. So if you take this and you set this on top of your grid, and you have 12 by 12, which is what this is, and you multiply, the 12 by 12 is going to equal 144. So this 1 foot is 144 square inches. That's how many square inches you have in that 12 by 12. If you count up those, you're going to have 144 square inches. Now, that number is a very important number in almost everything that we purchase, because that is what you're going to be charged by, that 144 square inches. So we're going to take the 144 square inches, we'll take 144 square inches, and we will take that and we will multiply the square footage, which is 24.75. If we take 144 times 24.75, it equals to be 3,564 square inches. So that's how many square inches are in this side, which is 24.75 square foot. So we've broken it down here from square footage to square inches. Now, once we have our square inches, which is 3,564 square inches, Then we're going to divide that into the cost of the leather, and that's what we did not get here. I'm gonna back up, and we're going to take 24.75 times 10. So this side would cost us $247.50. So that's what the side cost us. At $10 a square foot, it costs us $247.50. So we're going to take that $247.50, 47.50, and then we're going to divide the square footage into the cost of the hide. So we're going to take 247.50, and we're going to divide it by 3,564, and it come out to 0.06, and that's in cents. So you're paying 6 cents per square inch. So what we're going to do, you're going to add on a profit margin, because if you have to remake something and you have to repurchase that hide again, well, then you need to be able to repurchase that without losing any money. So and it will happen, because you can work on something and you know what, you made a mistake and you have to make it again. So you have to add that cost in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to add 10 cents to that. So now you have 16 cents a square inch. So now what you have is that you need to charge 16 cents a square inch for your leather. Okay? Then we'll go to the next. Okay, now that we know that we need to charge 16 cents per square inch for the leather that we have purchased, we also know that the pattern is 13 inches by 19 inches. So we'll take the 13 by 19 inches and we will multiply that, and that'll give us 247 square inches. We take the 247 square inches and multiply the 16 cents, which give us $39.52. Because we have a primary leather and a secondary leather, which means we need to charge for both leathers, so we need to charge $39.52 for each leather, for the primary and for the secondary. If you take $39.52, you multiply that by 2, that's going to give you $79.04. So that is what we need to charge for the leather. It's $79.04. Now that does not include the hardware. So we're going to add in the hardware cost. And then one of the hardest things for people to do is figure out how much they want to charge for their labor. The thing that people have problem with is knowing what they should charge an hour for their work. I always look at that. That is a individual decision because you have to determine what you're worth. Don't let someone else determine that because they will. And so you have to determine that. And normally what I would do, I would say, okay, let's say that two people come to me, ask me for a job, and I say, okay, I'll hire both of you. So I'll call one person in and I'll say, how much you want an hour? And that person say, oh, I'd like to get $20 an hour. I'll say, okay, deal. I'm gonna pay you $20 an hour. And I'll say, okay, just stay in here. And then I'll call the next person in and I'll say, how much do you want an hour? And that person say, oh, I want $50 an hour. And I say, done, $50 an hour. Well, at that point, the person that asks for $20 an hour are going to feel like that they shortchanged themselves, and now they're going to want to renegotiate. And I would say, nope, you have, told me what you want, so we're going to go with 20. So now you have to make a decision. Do you not take the job for $20 an hour, which is what you asked for? Or do you go ahead and take the job and come in every day knowing that the person that's working right next to you doing the exact same thing is getting $30 more an hour than you did? That's a decision to make. So I would always say that you can always come down on something, but it's harder to go up. So what you need to do is make sure that whatever you decide to charge an hour on a product that you're making, that while you're working, you feel good about it, because it is very easy to be working and be miserable because you do not charge enough for what you're doing. So really think about that. So now what we're going to do at this point, we're going to calculate the hours, and then we can see the difference in what a bag will cost made out of the leather that we have priced it with, which is $10 a square foot, and we ended up buying a 24 by 75 square foot hide, which comes out to be $247.50. That's how much we had to pay out of our pocket up front for that hide. Now also remember this, when you buy leather, they're not, if you want just a piece of that hide, they're not going to sell you a piece of that hide. You have to either buy the whole hide or nothing, or the whole side or nothing. So you have to think about that, and people don't understand that if they go to a restaurant and they buy a slice of pie and they pay $3.75 for that slice of pie, well, you could go to the store or a bakery and probably buy the whole pie for $7. Well, they can make a lot more once they slice it up and sell it as a slice. But if you invest the $250 or $247.50 in that hide, well, you know what? You deserve to charge what you want to charge per square inch for that hide, because you came out of pocket to buy that. So you have to think about this in that way, is that you came out of your pocket in order to buy that red hide that person wants that red bag made out of. So let's do our calculation. Okay, to kind of give you an idea of how this was calculated, I took the primary leather, which was $39.52. I took the secondary leather, which was $39.52, which was a total of 494 square inches. So if you take that 494 square inches and you multiply it by 16 cents, you will come out with $79.04.
Same thing if you took the $39.52, multiply it by 2, you get the same thing, $79.04. For the hardware, we're charging $30 for the hardware, and it took 4 hours to complete the bag. We're charging $60 an hour, and when you calculate that, you will come up with $349. And like I said before, your hourly rate will depend on what you think that you should receive. And don't let anyone tell you what you should make an hour. You make that decision. So that's how we came up with this calculation.
I know I probably did not answer all of your questions, but I just wanted to kind of give you some idea of how you can go by costing out your product. And always, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and pass it on to someone else that you know that may want to see this or may want to know this, and because that's how we're going to continue doing what we're doing, is by your subscribing, your comments, and your viewing. Thank you again for watching.